New Jersey to Las Vegas, New Jersey Raider Nation, coming to you live.
Welcome back to the NJRaiderNation channel. Today's another NJRaiderNation in 5, where we make a video in 5 minutes, just talking about whatever's going on. And this is episode 2. And of course, got to talk about yesterday, Carr got picked up by the Saints. He was a free agent, one of the top free agents in the NFL. I think he was like number 7, 6 or 7. And of course, you know, with Aaron Rodgers, with the whole thing going on with him, between Carr, Rodgers, they were obviously the better quarterbacks available in this free agency for the upcoming NFL season. So he got picked up by the Saints, which was kind of expected. It was definitely a likely spot for him to end up, because with Dennis Allen, they get to team up again. The Saints have a good team. They were number 5 ranked defense last season. I mean, look, they held us to 0 when we played them, 24-0, which a lot of people have been saying, oh, how could they beat a team 24-0 and then they turn around and give him a 4-year contract? I mean, everything in the NFL is not black and white, right? I think that's kind of, I mean, if it was that easy, if a team beats somebody 24-0 and then there's no chance to hire anybody from that team, anybody could be an NFL owner, GM, but it's obviously not that, not that simple. There's clearly talent in Carr that the Saints felt they could bring out and utilize. So that's what happens. A 4-year deal, $150 million total, which is like $37.5 million a year, which is pretty hefty. I mean, Derek Carr, he definitely had a bad year last year. Coming off of that year, going into free agency, the contract, everything is going to be brand new. He would have locked into a hefty contract with the Raiders if he stayed with us. That's kind of, I think part of why we had to cut him, because that contract just wasn't a good contract and he didn't perform as well as he should be at that price. But the Saints giving him $37.5 million, I think in part was because the Jets, who are, very, highly looking for a quarterback, I think they publicly, it sounded like they publicly said, or at least told Carr, that they wanted to wait to see what happens with Rodgers before making a move on Carr. And, Carr got tired of waiting, didn't really like that, I don't think. But the Jets definitely had money to spend on a veteran quarterback. I mean, the owner said that, he said that publicly. Aaron Rodgers, if you're in the talks for Aaron Rodgers, you're gonna be putting up a bag for him. So I think maybe that's probably a little part of the reason why the Saints had to give Carr such a heavy loaded contract, because $37.5 million, that's a lot per year for a quarterback that been to the. I mean, it's just how it is. He's only been to the playoffs 2 times in his career. I think there's a lot of potential in Carr, and I've said this before. My channel, I've always been a big fan of Carr, and he's been our quarterback for 9 years. He's been leading the Raiders, so wherever he goes, I'm gonna watch him. And I think people, it's hypocritical. People are gonna say, oh, I don't care where he goes. But they're going to be watching the stats. If they're not watching the games, they're going to be looking out for what he's doing. If he's doing bad, they'll be able to talk about the Raiders got away with getting rid of him and how good that is. At the end of the day, they're still talking about him. So I think that's a bunch of crap. But I want to see how he does with the Saints. New team, new organization. I mean, Carr's commitment to the Raiders publicly was pretty clear, and then I think however you want to cut it, the whole situation just was handled, not in a great way. I think the whole thing was a little weird. So it is what it is. Now in terms of our quarterback situation, I'll be able to get into that in future episodes, because we're running out of time here. But with the draft coming up, are the Raiders going to draft a quarterback? Are we going to get Aaron Rodgers, Jimmy G, a different veteran quarterback? I hope not. I hope we just draft or stick with Stidham, honestly. But I'll get into more of that when the draft comes up. So NJRaiderNation out. Give me a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video.